Okay, I guess we can probably get started. I'd like to call this meeting of the Burtchville Township Zoning Board of Appeals to order, and I'd like to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we start before we start this evening, let me introduce some folks. My name is Paul Schmidt. I'm the chairman of the Burtchville Township ZBA, and Don Deachin. Okay, the member.
And I'm Mike Apple.
Is an alternate.
I'm an alternate.
So we're here regarding a petition for a variance from the laws of Burtchville Township by the petitioners here, and essentially what you're asking is for the lawful right to violate the laws of Burtchville Township. That's really what you are. But this is the right place to be asking for that. And there is a provision that we can grant that or not, but that's essentially what you're asking. The laws that apply to everybody else. You're saying in our case we'd like to be able to violate those. So you guys have submitted written requests. Specifically, I think there's two issues that you're asking for a variance on, two variances having to do with a project to expand the home.
Right, to just, because the house is on the slightest of angles.
So I'm going to ask you to do is, could you verbalize
Sure.
the two variances that you're asking?
Would you like me to stand or?
Yeah, sure. And when you do stand, and I'm
Yes.
going to ask anybody else for just your name and your address.
I'm Stephen Schmidt, no relation. I live at 53217 Garland Drive in Shelby Township, and hopefully at 3677 in Shorewood.
Okay.
What we are petitioning Township to do is to maintain the historic design of the house. We don't want to knock it down, and we don't want to put a modular house or an older house. We want to keep the architecture, and we want to extend the house 10 feet in the rear of the house.
To the south.
To the south, correct. And the house is on a slight angle on the lot line, which would increase the violation. I think it's like 2 or 3 inches where that 10 feet will protrude, because from the front, it's 40 feet long on the east side, and I think it's 5.8 to 4.6 or 4 point something. I don't remember exactly. So it's 10 feet back, and we want to bring that back 10 feet, and then we want to build in a second floor. We're going to
In a straight line. Which
right,
would
correct.
Probably
yes.
Even infringe even a little bit more,
Correct.
another couple inches.
Correct. And in addition to the data on that, I talked to Lowell Cameron at Port Huron. He's in the health department, about if we do go back, will we have enough space to put dry wells in, because our lot's too small for a septic field. And he said that absolutely there would be no problem with that. I actually talked to him. Lynn and I tried to buy this property. We made 5 different offers on it because it was a bank property. And I'm a real estate appraiser, and I work for Talmer Bank. And we made all these offers on this property to get this property. And I talked to Lowell before we even purchased it. And I told him what we wanted to do potentially, because we know that street. And Lynn's girlfriend lives up there for like 20 years, something like that. So we know the street, we knew the house, and as soon as it came on the market, we jumped all over it 5 times. And so he affirmed to me that we could do what we wanted to do. We want to retire too in the summertime, is what we would like to do.
You talk about the health department, said they're fine.
Right, yes, the Lowell Cameron from the health department. So he said that would be sufficient, and I did all my research and everything, and didn't know anything about drywalls, and he said that would be 2 would be functional, no problem. And I would really want to go with 3, but he said we would be able to do that, so.
Okay, so the one variance is the side yard setback. You would be less than the 5 feet, which are
Well, if we were able to go back 10 feet, there would be 22 feet from the back of the house to the back of the lot. And so that'd be 22 by 40, which would be 840, correct? And he said we only needed like, not even 600, like 400 and some feet. And he said that there's supposed to be a 10-foot setback, but he said that there would be no problem. And I asked him, I said, if we buy this property, when we did this, will it be illegal to do this? He goes, not according to my job and to the county of St. Clair Township, St. Clair County, that you would not be eliminated from being able to make this. He goes, I'd have to grant you that variance, but he goes, that would not be a problem. That's what he told me.
Okay.
And I actually confirmed that, and before I bought it, and I actually confirmed it about 2 days after I sent this paperwork in.
Sure, sure, and you understand that the health department has their requirements that have to do with septic fields or dry wells, whatever you need.
Right, well, we need both, so to build what we want to do,
yes.
so.
And then we are interested in the zoning, side
Correct.
yards, front
Correct.
yard, backyards,
Correct.
that's the zoning.
Correct.
So the issue, as I understand it, is the side yard setback, you're a little infringing on it, and would be even a little more if you extend the house because of the way it's.
Right, yeah.
And then you want to put a second story, which is fine, and you don't need any variance to put a second story on.
Right.
And then you also talked about in your written request, a third story.
No, that's out.
Okay.
So that is definitely, my foundation guy said,
Wouldn't work anyway, huh?
go away. Yeah. So, yes, sorry.
Okay.
That's why you threw me when you said two, and I.
No, see, we don't, we, Burtchville Township in residential, we have 2 stories maximum, 30 feet.
That was
so-
just a,
Yeah,
that
okay.
was a
That's an
thought.
afterthought.
It's okay.
We kinda like that.
No, you can still petition that, that's
We
okay.
like that.
It was a,
We like
it was
the
a
puddle
room
to
in
the east.
case, we had problems.
All right, you can do that. So really, I can't speak for it, but we don't have any 3-story.
Right, no, that's fine. We've already,
Okay, good. So it's really the side yard setback is the only
Correct.
issue. And you don't have any problem with the health department, which is their business.
Correct.
You're good with them, that's good. Okay. All right, thank you. Any public comment? Anybody else make a comment for or against, or,
I'm for it.
okay?
Robert Abernethy,
Well, thank you.
8235 State Road.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with it? Okay. Anybody else? We solicited, just so you know, we let your neighbors within the prescribed distance know that this was coming up, and they could either be here if they wanted to be, or could send in, mail in comments, and I saw no, Mike's.
We have received nothing
No
right
mail
now.
comments, one way or the other,
Nothing.
so we don't have any. And we did have one public comment. I would ask, and again, you've already submitted some information in writing, but could you basically give us your recommendation?
Basically, I'd offer that, in the absence of any relevant objection to the request, the request should be granted. The whole neighborhood is basically non-conforming if you really look at it, and if the property to the east actually encroaches more than this addition will encroach.
Is theirs cut to the side too?
No, theirs is pretty well straight, but I think it's only 3 feet off the
Oh, okay.
property line.
actually, he's actually, if you look at that survey, I think he's a couple inches off the property on
Oh, okay.
Lansing, so it's pretty, he's correct. though.
So that, historically, the whole neighborhood is non-conforming, so I would have, I can see no reason why not to grant it.
All right, thanks, Mike. Don, any questions, or?
No, I go along with Mike Donner, that as they say, it's non-conforming to start with, you're going out, what, you said 3 more inches?
You probably
It's,
pick up a
if
couple
you do
inches.
the math, that's
I
not
see no
really-
problem with it.
It's not, it's on the slightest angle, so,
Yeah, I was out there to look at property.
yeah, you can,
Yeah.
that big maple tree has more say in all this than anything.
I was gonna say, is that gotta come down, does it?
No, I don't wanna take it down, we don't wanna take any, we wanna maintain the house as much. The home inspector said to us, he goes, first of all, he goes, I don't know why you're paying me for this, you should just knock the damn thing down and put a modular. I said, we don't want a modular house, I mean, that's not who we are. She's gonna pull all the windows out of that house and she's gonna refinish them and put them all back in. That's how much we got a whole garage full of furniture that's around the turn of the century because it's similar to that house built in the 20s.
When was that built in the 20s?
It was, yeah, so that's dating the wood and everything, and it was probably, and it actually will, if you were out there, the house across the street, the doctor's house, it's gonna be very similar to that.
Nice.
I mean, exactly similar to it,
Because
really.
it is in need of work, right?
It's gonna look nice.
Good for you guys that you bought it.
But, we just love that, we love that street.
Yes, yes.
That was a cool property.
May I ask you a question about the street itself? Is the street a private street, or is it a township governed street, or is it, what's the?
It's a private
For
road.
me, that's my understanding.
Yeah, it's
too,
a private road.
Because right in front of our house, and depending on when you were there, you might have needed your waders to get to our house.
Just, yeah, is that right in front or just down?
No, that's right in front.
Okay.
And that's essentially a drywall, but it's plugged and hasn't been
It was
serviced.
wet when I was
And the
there.
doctor and I are, depending on, this goes good, we're gonna take care of that. But we needed to know if, when we do that, do we need to talk to you guys, or we don't?
No, I think it's just.
So it's a private, we can pretty much do whatever we want with, we're gonna ask everybody on the street to help out, but that's not
That's
gonna
what you
happen.
need to do, you need to get the okay from from
Well.
the neighbors on the street and stuff, because it is a private road. They maintain it, they plow it, and
Yeah, we want more than okay, but we know we're not gonna get the,
There it is,
Other
when
part.
we were building the bridge.
If you
Yeah.
do, let me know how you do it.
yeah, because what's happening is everybody that's east of that, when that was wet, and it was really wet, they just drove over, poor Mike's, he put a lot of money into it, and they just drove over.
Over his lawn?
Oh, yeah. Well, they're not gonna drive through the lake, so.
Yeah, I saw that there, that it was.
So, I mean, I talked to Lowell and I talked to my drywall guy that's gonna do my drywall. He said it's essentially the same thing, but those have a bottom on them. So I talked to Mike, my neighbor, and figured I gotta put 2 or 3 in, I might as well put 4 in and get it taken care of, and
We're lucky, because I live a mile or so north of you, that we're in one of the few spots in St. Clair County you can have drywalls. Because most places you have to have septic field.
well, it's the gravel belt that goes from the top of your thumb, because I asked Cameron about, because I'm a real estate appraiser, and I asked
used
him
to have
about
maps
radon
here.
gas. And there's never been a radon gas incident in all of St. Clair County, and it's because of that big gravel belt up from Caseville all the way through the whole county.
We used to have a map hanging up in here that identified where it's clay and where it's gravel. And where you are, where I am, it's gravel.
Yeah, thank goodness, because it drains, but obviously that road doesn't drain.
Right, well, now we've got a lot of water.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, do you have any specific questions?
No, I was up. I don't.
Got our hands full, don't we?
Yeah, you got some work.
That's
to
all
do.
right.
Hard.
Okay, any findings? The one that I have, that he has room for 2 dry wells, so that the St. Clair County Health Department's fine with it. Any other findings? Lot line?
No, I had a state survey done,
Right,
as
I
you.
saw that. But I mean, original, I can see that could,
No, I'm all for them to fix their house up. Get
Right,
more
no,
money,
I know you are.
get more money onto the tax rolls.
That was gonna be our begging speech. Everyone's going the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
So if there's anything unique,
Do you need township approval to remove a tree?
I don't think so.
Because there's one tree in the back that's gotta come down, because it's in and trimming trees, you don't need approval for that either? Okay. Because we live in Shelby Township, and they,
You have to get a permit?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Can't even look at your trees, Ron.
No, we're still pretty rural here, you know,
That's why we're planning on moving here. Get away from there.
Okay, I guess I would entertain a motion then. Will you gentlemen?
Well, I say to, okay, the motion to let him.
To approve a variance?
Yeah, to approve the
I'll
variance.
second.
Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so variance granted. For your side yard setback, okay? And I, for one, would have opposed a third story,
Yeah.
so it's, but you're not asking for it anymore, so that's fine. But side yard setback, variance granted, and what I can do, I'm gonna be putting together minutes of the meeting. Is that the best thing? You, Mike, you're gonna wanna have something to attach to the building?
Yes. Property.
Something to attach when we need. So the minutes okay, is that good
Yeah,
enough?
that's
To be
wonderful.
approved?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll apply for the building permit and I'll sign off on the zoning.
Okay, but as far as documentation, that's good enough for you?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So we're getting
All right.
plans drawn up now, because no point in doing that before.
Good.
Okay, so,
Good.
very good.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're
Welcome to
excited.
Burtchville Township.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, other business? You guys?
Nothing?
Good, nice to see you. Everybody. All right, motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Watching.
I bet you will, I'll bet you'll second that, right, will you not?
Oh, I definitely will. Might catch the tail end of the ballgame.
I know, I was gonna say, but it
Turn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Okay.